Ooh, let me tell you what I want.
Welcome to Old Drunken Discography, where old friends and fans come together to BS, argue, occasionally agree, and discuss a musical artist. I'm Jason. With me is Tim with the taco shirt and Bill with the blue shirt.
Howdy.
Did you have to move out to the forest because you're a Poison fan?
Yeah, there's a lot of poisonous mushrooms and other stuff out here. I got some deer in the background. It's pretty nice, and it's a prelude to where they're going here in a little bit.
Oh, okay. So you do have a theme going with your background. I like it.
Oh, hey, I always do.
Yeah, you do.
Last
Um,
week was Satanic Cult in a haunted house.
that's true. Yeah. Um, yeah. This is Bill's pick. He picked Poison. We rotate out each week. Last week, Tim picked Ghost. Next week, I believe, is Aerosmith. After 1993, go check out our Album of the Decade series, but we are doing Aerosmith here soon. So if you like those bands, stick around. Blah, blah, blah. Let's get into some Open Up and Say Ah. How'd you like those fucking Dr. Seuss rhyming right there?
They
That
could
was
be, they could
Desmond
be
Child
in
worthy.
they could be in a Nickelback song. I'll give you that.
It's so weird for me now to see this cover readily available and
I know.
accepted as the norm.
Yeah.
When I owned this album for like 15 years before I ever saw this.
Yep. It's weird what they used to edit back in the day. Maybe we should put a little Tim face over it and block it so we don't get.
Right.
Oh no, we're showing a tongue.
Yeah.
So is that what it used to be? Because I've only known this cover.
They basically they blacked out everything above her eyes and below the nose.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not a lot. Or I mean, that is a lot, but not a lot showing, I should say.
Right, but it was It was a wild cover. It was a wild time.
I didn't know this, but Flesh and Blood's added it too, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, open up and say ah. Bill, you want to start us with this one?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So we started with Love on the Rocks. At first I was like, gosh darn it, it's a solid intro, but what song is it reminding me of? So I typed in Love on the Rocks on Google. I'm like, God damn it, I know I've heard this lyrics before. Like, what does it remind me of? And then Neil Diamond's, Love on the Rocks came up. I'm like, oh, that was a good song, but that wasn't the one I was thinking of. I'm like, all right. And then I realized I was thinking of Toby Keith's Hope on the Rocks. Was the song that I was thinking of. And which is also a better song than this. But it was still a good intro.
This one would have came first, though.
Oh, absolutely. Well, not before Neil Diamond.
No, yeah, that's true. I'm thinking Toby Keith, because
Yeah.
Toby Keith would have ripped some Poison off.
Yep. And the thing is, it was just the actual words themselves, not the tune or anything. And even that, it's a completely unrelated song. Which I'm not saying he did. Maybe he rips them off. Everyone rips them off in the '90s. Come on. Nothing but a good time. How can I resist? Top song contender. It's for me always been a hell of a song. If I want to just sit there and just rock out, put her on. Back to the Rocking Horse. I thought it was a solid guitar solo. The lyrics sometimes got mildly repetitive, and I might be a little generous by saying that. That being said, I thought it was still a solid song, all in all. Good Love might be the low point of the album for me. I don't know. It's just that one never really stuck with me.
This is why I like going back and forth with you on these, because we're complete opposite.
Tearing Down the Walls, I was half waiting for She's Only 17 to start playing. It doesn't. Because it's obviously not that. But it was still good. I mean, obviously it's the same melody that's in parts. But it was still all right. Look But You Can't Touch. I thought it was a fair song and dialogue in it. Reminded me of Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. A lot just like the thematic elements within it. Could be a blowing on that horse, but that's just what it reminded me of. Fallen Angel. Yeah, Win Big. Top song contender, and yeah, it's for me that's always been a great song. I love the guitar on it. I love the lyrics. Yeah, the chorus is a little bit repetitive, just kind of just because it repeats itself a little bit, but it's catchy, so that's okay. Um, Every Rose Has Its Thorn. God damn, that was a hell of a 1-2 punch right after Fallen Angel. Um, Top song contender again. It's, I mean, I know it's a ballad, so I know, let's say I know it. Everyone else will probably not like this one, but you know what? I like my ballads. It's always been one of my favorite songs, also by them. Um, Mama Don't Dance. It's an okay cover. It doesn't add anything, and the pre-chorus isn't as good either. Just because they don't have that deep, low, accentuated voice, it's just kind of subtly, and because it's like it's more muted, and I feel like it than what I'm used to hearing it as. And I don't know, it's okay at best. Bad to Be Good. I thought it was very simple and basic. Um, Not sure where they're going with that one. Um, I just realized that that's the ending song. And then I had another one as a closer. I'm trying to figure out what it was because I usually just write a quick note to what the track was, and that is not listed here. It was Living for a Minute. That's what it was. Um, I thought it was. Well, it wasn't the outro, so that point is completely mute. Because I had written for an outro, it's all right, mid grade, like was decent. I'll tell you what, it was a better outro than Bad to Be Good was.
Well, that's interesting because I didn't. This is the one thing that's surprising me is I have not heard "Living for the Minute" yet, and I even streamed this. I didn't like break out an old cassette or anything. Just streaming it, it still stopped at "Bad to Be Good." So
Because I did a YouTube playlist because it did that, and then it did their. I mean, I should have known that would probably had an extract in there because it did their world premiere, like they're just vocalizing, talking about the different songs around their
yeah,
album.
and those were
Because
on the remastered edition as bonus tracks.
yeah, so I'm wondering if maybe that's was on the remaster then that I was listening
On
to.
Yeah.
Spotify, the first two records, there were two versions. There was the original, and then there was like a remaster one. I always try
Okay.
to listen to the originals for this show,
Sure.
and I'll get into it on
And
Flesh and Blood. Like the only thing that was there was the remastered version. So that
yeah,
may be why this
that's
track list only has 10 tracks.
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. So that's what I have about this album. I mean, it got some nice high points here, but that's well. I would say this was probably the big radio rock album, relatively speaking.
I mean, this was they were at the top of their game here. So this and
Um,
the next one.
I'll just quickly go through mine. Cry Tough was a stronger opener for me. I'm a sucker for 80s sitcoms, and Cry Tough had that going on. This was just kind of a generic
With
80s
Dabney Coleman.
hair metal band song. Nothing but a good time. It's fine. I heard it way too much. Whatever. Back to the Rockin' Horse. It's fine. It's unoffensive. It happened. The chorus was kind of catchy. The solo was cool. Whatever. Good Love. Brett tearing up that harmonica. I liked it. It had some interesting things happening. The vocal melody was fun. Taryn, I liked the little guitar licks on the pre-chorus. The rest of it wasn't really a fan. Look But You Can't Touch. Main riff sounded really familiar. Brett sounded weird though. the production or the way he was singing, like something was off. And again, I listened to the original. Fallen Angel was fine. I remember it. It's one of the better singles, I suppose. Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Yeah, that deep sigh in the beginning. I feel that part every time I hear this song coming on. It's better than I Won't Forget You, but it's still no, you don't know what you got till it's gone. I remember fucking Cowboy back in middle school singing, or like fucking with him singing, just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Your Mama Don't Dance, it's a fine cover. I've probably heard this one more than the original at this point. Just some good old rock and roll. Bad to Be Good. What had Blondie done up until 1988? I wasn't feeling.
I mean, they
this
had a
one.
whole career.
Let Me Go, the show was a better closer. Bad was just kind of boring. So that's my notes for this one. That makes me sad that y'all said this was the peak.
Well,
I mean,
peak
as
like
far as their
radio
popularity, yeah.
Like this one, I think this one had the most like
Flesh and Blood was pretty
radio
popular,
singles,
too,
right?
I mean, it was these two albums between '88 and '92 was their time.
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking like, because I mean, you have Nothing But a Good Time, Fallen Angel, and Every Rose Has Its Thorn. I mean, obviously, I wasn't alive back in '88
those
and
were
'89. I had,
huge singles.
As was Your Mama Don't Dance. That got a lot
that
of
was a
radio
huge
play
single,
back in
too.
the day.
so I'm just thinking like, I mean, relatively so Flesh and Blood only had what, 3 songs I think that ended up getting super big on the radio.
It came out right before the grunge thing, so they had like 3 that were bona fide hits. I think 2 that were bona fide hits, and then they had like 2 others that were singles. And Something to Believe In, yeah.
Something to Believe In was big.
I mean, obviously not saying that quantity trumps anything, but I'm like just thinking out loud, just what the radio and publicity was with those.
Was it Life Goes On? Wasn't that a single too?
I don't remember.
I think so, but like that one wasn't a big one.
Yeah, that was the 4th one. Yeah, exactly. They had, because Ride the Wind and Life Goes On tanked, but Unskinny Bop and Something to Believe In were big.
Well,
Guess what happened in between those?
Yeah, album cycle wise though, like they had 2 years for this one to promote.
Yeah.
They didn't even have, like by September '91, that was it. So
January of '92.
that was it.
I mean, well, we're gonna get to Flesh and Blood when we get to that one.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, this is the beginning of it. That's the end of it, I would say.
Yeah.
But we'll get to the end of it. But
All right, what about you, Tim?
back to Open Up. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I was 9 when this album came out, and I still have the cassette tape somewhere. So there's a part of me that goes, yeah, it's fine, looking at it objectively, like Love on the Rocks is, I think, production wise, we're already better than anything on the first album. Performance wise, we're already a lot stronger. You can tell that they toured a lot behind the first album, and I'm willing to bet at least 2 of them went and got like lessons. Because there's a big step up just in performance from the first album on here. The songwriting is still very much in the vein of the first album, but they're also getting a little more serious. You could tell, like with tracks like Every Rose Has Its Thorn. I think I'm going to agree with Bill and say Good Love is the low point of the album. And while I can see the argument for Fallen Angel, Every Rose Has Its Thorn being the highlights of the album, I'm going to move that just a little bit and go, look, but you can't touch Fallen Angel. I think that's actually the high point of the album. So I think it's a lot better than the first album, just in every way, without losing, that same feel. Back to the Rocking Horse, like I like the song, but I don't like the chorus. And you can even kind of hear it. Maybe it's a remastered thing, but you can really hear where they just kind of completely change gears going into that chorus, and it's always kind of weird. Bad to be good. I mean, it's all right. I think it's better than Your Mama Don't Dance.
I don't. That's a fine cover.
Okay. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not
it's
original.
the album to me sounds very dated now. It sounds very much of its time. There is still a bit of an energy to it that puts it above, I think, a lot of their peers. I don't think they're quite Def Leppard, Bon Jovi territory yet, but as far as like the Dawkins and the Cinderellas and Nelsons and stuff like that, I think they're a little bit above that at this point. Like they're doing better than Tesla,
So
but you know what? They're still not as good as Motley Crue.
this would be Cinderella's Long Winter, right? Second album.
Right, which was
Yep.
their commercial peak, maybe. Yeah, I mean, '88. This was the year of the glam rock. So
Yep.
The rise and fall, very quick and very short.
very quick, very short. Yeah, but it was everywhere.
Yep. It was the mall core of the 80s.
Yep. Back when true mallcore was at its peak, when we had Debbie Gibson and Tiffany and all the real OG mallcore gangstas.
Yep. Paula Abdul, gangsta.
Little roller rink action.
Oh yeah, this was hot at the local skating rink.
It probably still is.
If you didn't slow skate to Every Rose Has Its Thorn, were you guys serious?
Are you even living, bro? Are you even living?
Was the relationship even serious? All right, Bill.
And we do have to point out that, like, if you get stuck at the pearly gates and don't know what to say, Bill and Ted advise you to just go with Every Rose Has Its Thorn lyrics.
It's true. Well, Bill, this is your pick, so you get to pick who gets to guess first.
You know, I think the safest thing I can do is say I'm going to pick this one.
Oh, you bastard. All right.
I'm just looking through and like, yeah, this the safest thing I could do is to pick this one. So I'm going to say for Jason, you and Tim, you're both going to have it at number 1. Right now.
That's correct for me.
Saying, Jason, I'm pretty sure it's going to be number 1 for you, unless you actually you do have it too.
I have it too. And I'll say Open Up has a certain charm to it that Open Up just didn't have for me. Sorry. Cat Dragged In had a certain charm to it that Open Up just didn't have for me. I don't think there was any considerable growth. If anything, I think the songs and the lyrical content were better on the first. You're right about the musicianship. I think they play better on this record because the first one
production
is kind
was
of
better.
sloppy. But I mean the opening track, the closing track, better than second album, and a lot of the shit in well, you'll see when we get to top songs. Tell you, I'm gonna have some hot takes.
That's why we do this show. I can't wait.
I mean, let's say because that. Well, I'll say for me, it's also at number 2.
Interesting.
I would have got
Okay.
that wrong. I would have got that wrong.
Oh, you get to guess the next album. Good luck.
Oh, you fucking asshole. All right, okay.
I suppose I gave Tim Native Tongue, so you're welcome.
Ooh,
You're
that's,
welcome.
Well, that's going to be an interesting one,
that's
too,
gonna be a
I
hard one to
think.
guess too.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a gift.
I know just the notes I have for it's gonna make it very confusing as to where I'm gonna place it. All right. Well,
Yeah, can't wait.
stick around, like, subscribe. Up next is Flesh and Blood. We'll talk about it. We'll rank it. We'll argue some. You know, the usual. Anybody else got anything to add?
Ooh, let me tell you what I want.
That's going to be the beginning of every one of these videos. Be safe. Make good decisions.
Like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song.